The Kansas City Chiefs are really starting to come alive and hit full stride when it really counts. They are peaking towards the end of the season, which is what all athletes always aim to do because the end of the season is when it does really count. But there are some. It's easy to look around and wonder, how is this happening? Why is this happening? What has gone on here for this team? But I think there are some things that we can point to fairly easily, and there is an article from Chiefs.com, 10 quick facts following up the Chiefs' Week 17 win over Pittsburgh upon further review. The subtitled, "The Chiefs won their 15th game of the season on Wednesday," from Chiefs.com by Matt McMullen. And this article comes out, I believe it's a weekly feature after every game. And normally it's fairly mundane. It's the stuff that you kind of know going into the game. This might be the game where Patrick Mahomes passes for example, in this article, the 245th touchdown of his career, where Travis Kelce is going to surpass Tony Gonzalez. All of those sorts of things work their way into that article. But I think that there are three things in this week's edition of the article that I am going to present a little bit out of order, but I'm going to present them a little bit out of order for a good reason, because I think that they do, in sequence, really explain what is going on for the Kansas City Chiefs this year, and especially at the hind end of this year. The number 3 point on that list was quarterback Patrick Mahomes now has 245 regular season touchdown passes for his career. Mahomes completed 29 of 38 passes for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns on Wednesday, passing Peyton Manning for the most regular season touchdown passes, 245, through 8 career seasons in the NFL history. Of course, Mahomes has appeared in just one game during his rookie campaign, meaning he accomplished this feat in just 7 full seasons. For the year, Mahomes' 320 passing yards on Wednesday trailed only his 331-yard performance versus New Orleans in Week 5. This is a graphic from Next Gen Stats. Patrick Mahomes averaged his quickest time to throw of the season, 2.34 seconds, and his second quickest of his career today against the Steelers, completing 20 of 24 passing attempts under 2.5 seconds for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe this is going to be the ideal going forward for these Kansas City Chiefs into the playoffs, a quick release for Patrick Mahomes. And you can see the placement of his 3 touchdowns right here, basically at the line of scrimmage, and 2 deeper throws. The whites are the incompletions. The greens are completions. This map looks much, 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 much better than it did early in the season. The article continues, additionally, Mahomes, despite playing 3 of the top pass rush teams in the NFL over the last 3 weeks in Cleveland, Houston, and Pittsburgh, was sacked just once in that span. The Chiefs' offensive line deserves immense credit for Kansas City's offensive performance over the last several games. We're going to return to that idea, but maybe not that exact talking point, in a couple of moments. The number 9 point on this list from Chiefs.com, the Chiefs are plus 11 turnover margin since Week 12. A major reason behind the Chiefs' 6-game winning streak since falling to the Buffalo Bills in Week 11 has been their turnover margin. The Chiefs are a league-best plus 11 in giveaway-takeaway ratio in that time, forcing 11 turnovers without committing a single one themselves. In fact, Kansas City is the only team without a turnover since Week 12. As of Wednesday, the Chiefs' plus 11 turnover margin since Week 12 leads the league by 3. And for the year, Kansas City is now plus 6 after sitting at negative 5 following Week 11. It would be completely understandable for you to look at those numbers and say, okay, well, the Chiefs are due to start turning it back over again. The law of large numbers, the idea that the mean, everything will revert to the means, that is going to be the case for these Kansas City Chiefs. These Kansas City Chiefs were not just at 0 in the turnover department. They were at negative 5 sitting up to Week 11. So this team, it seems, has the propensity to turn the ball over fairly often, and they're not doing it. What's going on? Should we be worried that the Kansas City Chiefs will once again start turning the ball over? I don't think so, and we'll talk about why in a moment. Then, flipping back up in the list, number 7. Cornerback Trent McDuffie notched a third straight game with a takeaway. McDuffie, who recorded an interception in each of the Chiefs' previous 2 games, kept his forced turnover streak alive on Wednesday with a forced fumble early in the fourth quarter. It was one of 2 takeaways for the Chiefs on the day, with the other being an interception by safety Justin Reid, which took place in the end zone on the Steelers' third series. Just to jump out of the article for a moment here, am I the only one who is constantly confusing the things which happened against the Steelers with the things that happened against the Texans with the things that happened the week prior? This has been such a whirlwind of games that it is difficult for me to keep commentary straight on this team. The article continues, Kansas City, which forced just 10 takeaways through Week 14, has now recorded 11 takeaways over the last 3 weeks. So you have 0 giveaways, you have 11 takeaways, you have Patrick Mahomes over the last 3 weeks getting sacked 1 time, you have, where are we at here? I think I've got it down here. The Chiefs had 3 separate 5-sack performances on the season. 2 of them are in the last 3 weeks. So all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs are getting to the quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs are not turning the ball over. The Kansas City Chiefs are making other teams turn the ball over, and the Kansas City Chiefs are not giving up sacks. This is where the Kansas City Chiefs have turned on that switch. Now, I don't like to be accused of being a conspiracy theorist, okay? It seems very obvious to me that this is one of the best teams, if not the best team, top to bottom, pillar to post, that we have had in the Patrick Mahomes era. It was getting a little bit uncomfortable around Kansas City when the Chiefs were still undefeated. Should the Kansas City Chiefs, despite all of their injury woes, go for that undefeated mark, that is immortality, should they be there in Week 17, Week 18, and their playoff spot already be secured? Which, by the way, it would have been last week had the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. In fact, I think, without going back and doing all of the math, it would have been the week prior. It would have been the Browns game that had sealed the 1 seed for the Kansas City Chiefs. And at that point, what are you playing for? Well, if you're still undefeated, you have the undefeated season on the horizon. It is there. It is right there. It is ripe for the picking. What do you do there, especially when you have had as many injury concerns as have had the Kansas City Chiefs this season? It was awfully strange after that 9-point loss to the Buffalo Bills. By the way, that loss to the Buffalo Bills was the last time, you can see here on the extreme right of this graphic, was the last time Patrick Mahomes threw any interceptions. I can explain this first 7 games of the season, Patrick Mahomes having interceptions. I can explain that away. He's trying to see what he can do. He's trying to see what he can do with his new wide receiver core. He's trying to see what he can do with his new offensive line. He's trying to see what he can do, period. He's experimenting. He's, for lack of a better term, practicing on Sundays. But since that Buffalo game, and by the way, that Buffalo game was preceded by 2 games in which Patrick Mahomes threw 0 interceptions. So over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, Patrick Mahomes has thrown 2 interceptions, but he's only thrown interceptions in 1 game. The team was not quite all that upset following the Buffalo Bills loss. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't remember anything in that Buffalo Bills game that made me believe that they had prepared 2 game specifically for the Buffalo Bills. What if they knew this is the type of team that can beat us, but if we just come out here and play it very vanilla, we will take our chances with whether or not we win because we're going to see this team again in the postseason. And if we pull out too many of the cards, they're going to know which cards are where, and we don't want to risk that. So we will risk the loss now. Don't accept the loss, but risk the loss now in order to keep more put away for the playoffs. In addition to that, you get the load off of your back. You get the monkey off of your back that was the undefeated season. That albatross sneaking around in the room with you. Everywhere the Chiefs went, will they go undefeated? I think that Andy Reid would have had a very tough time telling his players they cannot play in weeks 15, 16, 17, 18 should the playoff spot already be wrapped up. He did not have to worry about that because the Chiefs lost to the Buffalo Bills. I'm not saying I think they gave the game away. I'm not saying I don't think they tried. I am saying I don't think that it was too specifically against the Buffalo Bills that they were preparing. I think they were simply preparing the offense and defense as they normally run. A vanilla game from the Kansas City Chiefs. They succeeded in losing, and they moved forward with their season without that added pressure of the undefeated season towards the end of the year. So another thing that is working out for the Kansas City Chiefs this season, or is working out now in the season, the Kansas City Chiefs struggled mightily when Jalen Watson went down. And that seems to be a recurring theme with Jalen Watson. He has injury concerns, and that is unfortunate because he is such a talent. But they are still hurting at the cornerback position despite all of the time that has happened. However, the safeties and the defensive line are starting to come together in their development this season. Charles Omenihu's return, Jaden Hicks stepping up. There was a video earlier today about Jaden Hicks if you happened to miss that upload. But there are so many elements of this defense gelling around the cornerback position that the cornerback position is not being so dire a sore spot for this defense. So I think that when you are really taking a step back and looking at everything going on here and how it is that at the end of the season, the Kansas City Chiefs just happen to be playing the best football that they have, Patrick Mahomes has put everything on lockdown. He's not turning the ball over. The offensive line has figured out the left tackle position by moving Joe Thuney to left tackle and bringing in Mike Caliendo at the left guard spot. Mike Caliendo's not Joe Thuney at the left guard spot. The left guard spot is nowhere near as consequential as the left tackle spot, and Mike Caliendo is doing just fine there. It's a shame they don't have a longer-term contract with Mike Caliendo because I think that he would be a tradable piece at the end of this season. On the defensive side of the ball, all of a sudden, Trent McDuffie is causing more turnovers. The Kansas City Chiefs offense is not giving the ball away. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is taking the ball away, and part of that is due to the immense pressure that they are putting on quarterbacks. Like I said earlier, this Chiefs defense has put up 5 sacks on 3 separate occasions this entire season. 2 of those 3 occasions were in the past 3 weeks. So the defense is adding pressure to the quarterback, causing errant throws, causing rushed decisions, and capitalizing when an opposing quarterback is not doing the right thing. They have the personnel to force an offense into poor decisions, and they're doing it. On the offensive side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes is getting more time. He is letting the ball go faster. The offense, therefore, is finding its rhythm, and they're moving the ball, they're scoring. They are developing chemistry between Xavier Worthy and Patrick Mahomes. DeAndre Hopkins now has his role in this offense. There are so many things clicking for this offense that it's hard to pinpoint one thing. But when both sides of the ball suddenly start playing their best football of the season towards the end of the year, it leads to the biggest and best wins the Chiefs have had yet, right in time for the playoffs. That's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.